Well, it happened again this morning. My my truck decided to lock by itself again. I came out front. Uh, my daughter always lets me know that she'll be ready in about 10 minutes or so. So I came out front. I was just standing out front, actually waiting for her. And I have my keys in my hand, but they're just sitting in my hand. I have my thumb or fingers nowhere around the buttons, just sitting in my hand. And after I had unlocked my truck, when I came out here, unlocked it and got some stuff out, just standing there, and my truck locks again by itself. All of my electronic items have been malfunctioning lately, or functioning without me. The PlayStation controller, the garage door opener, my car, my front door to my house. A lot of things are being messed with right now. And somebody is trying to get my attention because I am starting to make these videos talking about what happened to me. And I don't even know what to say about that, other than it's obvious. As soon as I start doing this, I start getting more weird shit in my life. I know who some of the gang stalkers are that have been in my life, the long-term gang stalkers, the people that pretend they're your friends and build a relationship just to cut it off with you, to hurt you. At least that's been a big thing in my targeting, and I know that people in general sometimes can just be assholes and they just change. Or I shouldn't say can be assholes. Sometimes people in friendships grow apart and they just lose contact. And that's kind of a normal thing. You lose friends, you gain friends, but there's always some that you just kind of hang on to, you know, throughout your life, that you always just stay friends. And that seems to be some of my targeting, is inserting some of these people into my life because they know that I'm such a caring person, that I care about people and I want friends. And I was insecure growing up, my dad not being around, and I wanted people to look up to and ask information and just get advice, stuff like that. And a lot of my friends were people that were doing something for themselves. They were motivated people, usually trying to get ahead. And unfortunately, part of the way that some of them got ahead was by targeting me, by gang stalking me. And that is really tough to explain to somebody that hasn't been through this situation, because it's like somebody wants to hurt you bad enough to do something like this, but they know it's wrong. They know it's illegal. They know they can get in trouble, or they know that somebody would go after him if they found out that they were doing this to him. And oh, I'm blanking out. Damn it. This happens a lot. Anyway, there will be long-term friends, long-term relationships, and then there'll be like some weird skit that's just full of drama, when they leave. I'm not doing very good right now, am I? I'm a much better public speaker than this. You want to take over for me, man? Who's that? Is there a dog over there? Do you see a dog? No? No dogs? How about cat? No? You don't see any of those? Are there any out there? Is this open? No. I'm getting threats they're going to steal this guy too, or kill him. You know, and then when people hear it, really, you've been threatened? Where's the phone call you recorded? Or, you know, who threatened you? And if somebody's going to threaten you, threaten your life, threaten to hurt you, to hurt one of your family members, steal your pet, hurt your pet, whatever, they're going to do it in a roundabout way that these people are really good at this. They're going to let you know in a roundabout way what's going to happen or what they're just threatening you with. A lot of times I've had so many threats and nothing that followed through, but there's also, you know, people that are going to make threats, are going to follow through. I'm never sure if I'm going to turn my car on, it's going to fucking blow up. Or if I'm going to walk out, I'm going to get shot in front of my house, like several people have. You know, this isn't a game. It is a game, but with death at the end. And these people are having fun playing the game, apparently, making their money, playing their little video game, their giant video game that pays them, that affects other people's lives. It's ridiculous. I'm almost starting to think that's what the G stands for with Freemasonry. They always use a G. I thought it was for God for a long time. I thought it was for group, gang. Good, I thought it might be for. You know. But nobody knows except for those guys. Yeah, I was under the impression during my relationship that my wife was either working for or belonged to the Order of the Eastern Star. It's a long story how I came up with that, but there's a lot of things that showed up around us that gave me clues that would tell me such. And so I started studying Freemasonry. You know, I just wanted to see what it was about. I had no idea. I knew that there was people that I knew that were Masons. And, it was a huge thing, and I wanted to check it out. I got like Freemasonry for Dummies and some other books on Freemasonry and stuff like that. And I was just reading through it, and they're all really vague. They don't say like, we are Freemasonry. This is what we do. This is our goal. This is our this or that. It's just like all over the place, like riddles and double entendres and different stuff like that. You have to try to figure it out. And so I called up the worshipful master at the lodge here in Avondale, and actually I sent him a message. Got on their website, sent him a message, and explained who I was, and that I was interested in coming to the lodge. So the guy sent me a letter back. We talked a little bit, and I got invited to go. So I showed up and got some street theater there. I didn't know what street theater was at the time, but there was a guy that just happened to show up for his first meeting that I had met in front of the dollar store before. He stopped and he asked me about my dog. Hey man, what kind of dog is that? This, that. I don't know. I'm from Chicago. My name's this, that, and everything. You know, he seemed like a really cool guy. And then when I got to the Masonic Lodge to go to my meeting on Tuesday, that guy was there. It seemed like he had some mental issues. Like he was kind of disoriented, and he kept talking about Nikola Tesla, the great Nikola Tesla, and all of his works, and this and that. How his brother was a brick mason, and you know, all this stuff. And so I was trying to conversate with the other guys and trying to, you know, break the ice a little bit. This guy's spewing off all kinds of crazy stuff, and I couldn't really get a word in edgewise. Then the worshipful master takes us into the ritual area, the where they do the ritual. Those doors are always closed. Nobody goes in there except for, well, I mean, during ritual, except for the Freemasons. You have to be a degreed Mason, first, second, third degree, or higher, to go into that room. So, but the guy takes both of us, the two new guys, in there, and he's kind of showing us around and talking about a couple things that I'd read about already and stuff like that. But then this guy, the crazy guy, when I say the crazy guy, the actor, he starts asking the worshipful master, so can you guys teach me how to lay bricks? I'm ready to be a brick mason, you know. And I just kind of stepped back. I don't want to be like, dude, come on, man, you didn't read anything before you came in here. What's your problem? Like, you got to like pay attention a little bit. These aren't actual masons. A couple of them might be, but that's not what the deal is. So they had like a little conversation about that for a minute. It kept going on and on and on. And there was a couple other guys that were in the I can't remember what that room's called. Ritual room, lodge, whatever. So they were in that room, and they were kind of off to the side, and they were watching what was going on. So I just kind of like scooted off, and I just started talking to them. So my little tour of the place got basically hijacked. And I was like, well, fuck it, man. That didn't work out. Just go back next week. So I kept going for like 3 months. And it seemed like when I would go, nobody would talk to me about really what these guys did. They would just talk about all kinds of random stuff. They invited me to go to some game with them one night, but it was kind of last minute, and I really actually didn't want to go. I wanted to hang out with my wife that night. And I just got different street theater stuff throughout the time that I was there. I never felt comfortable, never felt accepted. There was a few people that I liked talking to that were pretty smart, that seemed like they had some interesting positions around the area. But then when I looked into it further, some of them were they were talking a lot bigger than what they are. Like one guy said he was a college professor, and it turns out he just like helps out at the college every now and then, shit like that. There was some pretty interesting people there though. One guy that developed, ironically, coincidentally, some guy, he developed these AI goggles that you connect your phone to. So the dock that you put it in, him and his team are the one that designed and built this thing, but he made a point to show me the artificial intelligence that they had created. He thought that was kind of neat. Thought that was funny to show that to me. Artificial intelligence. Yeah. It's like a dream reality. So, and then I would start to go to the lodge, and there'd be like 3 or 4 people there, 4 or 5 people. Like, where's everybody else? Oh, they didn't show up tonight. So I'm thinking some of those guys might have been at my house. My wife, while I was at lodge, they, I don't know, just a theory I have. Can't prove anything, but it's hard to say. A lot of times when you have a feeling about something, and a lot of things point to you thinking, hey man, that just doesn't seem right. Sometimes if you're looking for every little thing, you're gonna psych yourself out, and you're gonna be wrong. But say there's stuff going on for, well, let's say your entire life, and there's all these odd events that you've been through, and failed at some things that didn't seem like you should have failed, or like people that seemed like they were following through for you, or acted like they were actually sabotaging you, stuff like that. You look back throughout all this different stuff, you think to yourself, okay, even if I did talk myself into believing this and people went out of their way to screw me over, and I was wrong, I had to have been right part of the time. Say I was wrong 50% of the time about the gang stalking and the long-term manipulation. to build me up for failure, build me up for letdown. If I'm wrong 50% of the time, that means that I'm right the other 50% of the time. So that it means that it occurred at least half of my life. Not from like the beginning, not from like half of my life, like started at 20. But this has always been going on with me in some shape or form. And it comes in waves, and that's how they like to say this, is you're getting a wave. It comes in waves. One of the people that was gang stalking me right when my wife left, and I thought they were still my friend, I was talking to him and stuff, and they were saying some odd things too. And the phone was really staticky, and they do that a lot. They'll try to have static and just like horrible reception, so you're like, what? Huh? What? So communication's always horrible. And then, yeah, he had a picture of, sent me a picture of a wave, like a tidal wave, as we were going through it. And I was like, what's up with the picture? And he's like, oh, I didn't mean to send that. So that's, there's a lot of code words these people use to communicate. There's a lot of symbols and signs, and there's newer ones. They change them every once in a while. But there were symbols and signs that my ex-wife used to communicate with people, like when we were in a grocery store or just out and about and stuff like that. She would wear certain designs on her shirt repetitively that a lot of times the person that she would communicate with when we would be out would be wearing the same thing. It was like she had an umbrella on her shirt and that person had an umbrella on their shirt. She had a, like on Charlie Brown, the front of Charlie Brown's shirt, she would have that like design, like the sound wave, low frequency sound wave thing. And she would communicate with somebody in the grocery store, give a hand signal or whatever, and they'd be wearing the same thing. A rose would be used a lot. I have these roses on my arm, but just because I got a tattoo of my, I want to get a pinup tattoo of my wife. I went down there, and this is a Sailor Jerry tattoo, which I learned he's a Freemason now. But I like this kind of artwork, the pinup style artwork, traditional American. And it had something else on it. So when I went in there with her to get the tattoo, a guy that for sure 100% gave me this tattoo is a fucking gang stalker. He said, why don't I just put a couple roses on there? And I was like, yeah, I don't mind roses. Roses are cool. But I had no idea like that they were symbolic. And I still don't know exactly what they mean. I think a lot of prostitutes use them, like put a rose on them to signify they're a prostitute. That, or like the cherries, or like a little bow. There's a little bow with the two things hanging down. They'll get those tattooed on the back of their legs. My wife wore that bow all the time when we go out, and usually it was to a place where there would be like when we go to Barrett Jackson, where there'd be a lot of older men with a lot of old money, and people would go forward, probably her price range, whatever that was. Not cheap. She was very pretty. What are the symbols? She wore the umbrella a lot. So you got the umbrella, the bow, the Charlie Brown thing, goes up and down. What were some of the other ones? Those were some of the main ones. But when she'd wear that bow, she'd wear it like either on a shirt or just somewhere on her body. She'd have that little bow. Have it on the back of a dress or whatever. And that's what she would wear whenever we'd go somewhere where there were, where there'd be older men and money around. Pretty fucked up. One time we went to an auction, an art auction, and yeah, my dog's getting tired of listening. One time we went to an art auction in Norman, Oklahoma, the college. It was college students had done a bunch of art. You go and bid on the art they made. You can get some art fairly cheap, and you know, just a little art auction. They have a benefit, whatever. So we go to this thing, and she looked smoking hot. She wore some heels that she didn't usually wear. When it was just her and I, and we were going out to, like, you know, somewhere, going out together, what she dressed kind of not frumpy, but not super sexy. So when we go out together somewhere like that kind of environment, there's going to be other people around and, you know, possible clients, I'm guessing. Man, it would change. It would change. So we're at that auction, and it's over and everything, and I could tell there was some like people looking at us, some dudes checking her out. But that happened. I mean, anywhere you go, guys look at pretty women. That's just how it goes. But it would be like ridiculous when I'd be with my wife. I'd be like, "Do you see me standing here? Do you realize that I'm standing here with my wife? Well, the wedding ring's on. You're standing here staring at my wife, you know." But there were some people doing that kind of thing. And when it got done, she was like, "I need to go to the bathroom. Let's go to the bathroom." So let's go find a bathroom. So we're like walking out, and she goes, "Let's go ask this guy." And she wasn't the type of person to go ask people things. She'd just go look, try to figure it out for herself first, and then ask somebody. She goes, "Let's go ask this guy." And the guy, like, had his answer prepared before she even asked. She was like, "Do you know where the bath?" And she didn't even finish her sentence. And he's like, "Well, the women's is closed down here, so you're gonna have to go up to the top floor. But the men's is right here that you can go to, sir." You know, like, made sure he pointed me to go to that one instead of like going with her up to because I'm sure there's men's and women's bathrooms on every floor of that facility. So I go to the bathroom and I come out and I'm just hanging out and waiting for her. And it literally took her like 20 minutes to get back. And I mean, come on. People have to take a shit and get stuck in there for 20 minutes. But that wasn't the case here. She went upstairs, did whatever she did with whoever, and then came back down, acted like nothing happened, and went home with me. And this same thing happened at a it was a microbrewery in Norman, restaurant. They were connected. The place used to be called Coach's, and then they turned it into a new restaurant. I can't remember the name of it, but it was a music theme in there. And there was an upstairs. It was a second floor with a couple small windows you couldn't see in, and you could see some red lights up there. Next door was the microbrewery. In the back of the microbrewery was a staircase that went upstairs that you couldn't access that staircase. You couldn't go unless you probably knew the secret knock or something like that. So I like that place. We'd go in there and have some food. We'd go in there and have some drinks and stuff sometimes. Bloody Marys. I'd go to the microbrew, get some beers, and we'd go hang out. My wife would drive, and I'd drink. She did the same thing one time there, and now that I'm realizing the bartender was probably a prostitute also. We're having a beer, and my wife says, "I have to go to the bathroom." Well, she disappeared, and she went up that back staircase. Looked like, because the women's bathrooms are back there, but I'm sure you can just go up the staircase thing. So I'm sitting there having a beer, and I'm like, I wonder if she's okay in there. You think you can go check on her? And she's like, "Oh, I'm sure she's fine." You know, I'm like, wow, that's crazy. It's been like 20 minutes. I'm sitting here waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. And then when my wife finally comes out, she was even acting a little bit nervous, which she didn't do. She was cold as ice, man. She could act or anything. She was even acting a little bit nervous, like she just got away with something. And pretty sure that's what she was doing. So because later on, I don't remember how much longer after that it was, but we were in front of that place, and some really weird shit had happened. Some really weird shit had happened. And we were backing out from that restaurant, and I was like, "Look at those red lights up there. This place is a whorehouse." And they had the Pink Floyd. They had the girl, a big thing of Pink Floyd, all the different women across the pool. I'm not sure if you've seen that Pink Floyd album cover or not. But they had that up behind the bar too. You know, like it's all different flavors of women, you know, to let you know. And literally the day that I said, "Look at this place. This is a whorehouse. They've got a whorehouse going on up here. obvious. They got the red light. Nobody can go up there. There's nothing done on the second floor. It's just like their office. They happen to have red lights in their office. That night, that place fucking burnt down to the ground. I woke up in the morning and there was news that just fucking burned to the ground. So that day that I just happened to say, look at this place. It's a whorehouse. There's no other thing that it can be. Because I was being listened to, being monitored in my vehicle. There's nothing else that it can be. It fucking burned to the ground that night. Either I just have the most impeccable, coincidental timing in life. All this random stuff to happen. Or I'm getting gang stalked and street theaters being inserted in my life. And that's it, 100% for sure, in my opinion. You know, people can not believe if they want. You know, there have been, I think the thing that I decided to start talking about this is because, you know, I was afraid to feel crazy. I already felt crazy, but I was afraid to sound crazy. And I was afraid that my reputation would be ruined. And I didn't want to affect my kids because this is tough on the kids, you know. They're fucking, they're supposed to be figuring out how to go through life right now and take care of themselves, not worry about if their dad is, somebody's trying to kill their dad or not, you know, and then listen to their dad talk about this stuff. Like, but yeah, I just blanked out right there. Anyway, I forgot what I was saying. I'm really tired. I've been sleeping horrible the last couple weeks. I've been unmotivated with my business because of this. When you start to feel like there's no, when every single thing that you do becomes difficult, everything you do, you try becomes difficult, and that becomes the normal actions around you. You start to get discouraged. You know, they would say, stick in there, fight, stick in there, fight. Well, if you're living a normal life and not being targeted, that's a feasible thought. Because eventually you're going to catch a break and you're going to start building yourself up. You're going to build some capital. You're going to, you know, just build your business or do whatever you're going to do to be building yourself up. Eventually, even if you fail 4 or 5 times in a row, on the 6th time you're gonna do something. No matter what. If you just keep doing it, you keep doing it, repetition over and over, you're gonna do something good. When you're being gang stalked and targeted, there's like that opportunity for success becomes not even a dream anymore. You know, it's like, I'm stuck in this forever. It feels like you're stuck in this forever. And you feel like no matter how much hard work and effort you put into what you're trying to do to succeed and get yourself ahead, even if you do win, and I hate using the word win, but like, say my business, if I have a really good month and I'm like, oh man, I got to put some of this money away so I can pay my tax bill. You know, it's not like put some of this money away to buy a boat or some shit. It's like, okay, I got to put some of this money away to pay my tax bills coming up. There's one's behind too. As soon as you gain a little progress, find a way to suck that money back out of your account, like sending you too big of a bill. Like my car insurance bill was all jacked up. I did insurance for 5 years. I know about insurance, and they still could not explain my bill to me, but I had to pay it or else they were going to cancel my insurance. And it was like $500 more than it should have been for the term. Anyway, so stuff like that. Stuff like that. Endless return requests and nonsense questions that take forever through my eBay store, just to slow me down. People will ask questions, people will return things every once in a while, but these people will go out of their way to search for something that might have just a small misprint in it, or like baseball hat I did the other day. It said Chico State. It looked like it said Ohio State, so I think my son listed it and put Ohio State. Well, there's like 8 clear photos of this hat. The front of it, close up of the front of it, the side, the back, the other side, the top, and underneath. That's what we do. So this person purchased this hat, waited till it arrived, and then asked for a refund because it didn't say what they thought it said. Well, did you not look at the photos? And this could be a case of just somebody not paying attention. But when it happens every single day, every single day, there's multiple, I have to deal with 2 or 3 odd requests, or they've entered their address wrong, and I have to contact them and be like, can you please update your address? And it's like, no, my address is fine, but eBay won't let me print out the label because the address is too long or something like that. So they know all of the little things that will complicate what you need to do and take longer. And this didn't used to happen with the eBay store when I was building it up. I didn't get this much nonsense because they wanted me to build up a business and have some hope that I'm going to make it, and then end it after my wife leaves, try to make me look like I can't handle it on my own. And this can sound completely paranoid if you want to believe that it's just paranoia. But these are things that I've personally observed and thought about and thought about and thought about and thought about. And I didn't think myself into making it a reality. I finally accepted the reality and quit lying to myself, because when I was married, I knew that there was something going on. I knew that I got a bad vibe from my wife the first time I met her. I knew that I should have stepped away and found somebody that I didn't have that weird kind of intuition feeling that, but she was an amazing actor. She was absolutely beautiful. She found all the things to identify with me. Like, I chew up inside of my mouth like that sometimes. She would do the exact same thing and be like, oh God, I've never met anybody that does that. Just we do that, and certain sayings I would say, she would be like, I say that too, and just all these different things to identify. She was a photographer just like I was a photographer. We had that in common. She loved art just like I loved art. She loved music just like I loved music. But then when it really got down to it, and we wanted to talk about art, or really talk about music, and talk about the things that we both loved, she didn't seem to have the passion for it that I did. And I started to realize, does she really like all this stuff? She likes photography, but the photography is just a way to accomplish the goals that she is trying to accomplish. Get to certain people that she could utilize for different things. I don't know exactly what, but it's crazy, man. I went through a lot of crazy stuff, a lot of nonsense. This stole my real life. I had free will, but when you don't know you're being manipulated and people are trying to act like they're acting in your best interest, you're going to go along with stuff. You don't know you're being set up and sabotaged. You're going to go along with, you're going to take advice from your wife, from friends. You ask for advice. You ask for things, You never have any idea that, they're going to do their best to point you in the wrong direction. And it's, I'm finding it's kind of tough to recover from long-term setups and manipulation to destroy you, because there was so much time and effort putting into it, that was being put into it by so many different people, and you are unaware that it's happening, that so much damage is done to you over time, incrementally. It's just hard to dig yourself out of the hole. Another thing these guys use, the symbol, they're always talking about shovels. I know it sounds nuts, but it's so weird the way they do this stuff. You know, like on my social media, like every other post would be somebody with a shovel digging something, like burying something. And I'm like, there's no way in hell there's this many people on social media posting stuff about digging holes with a shovel, a spade shovel, not even a flathead shovel. It's the exact same kind of shovel, over and over. So I'm going to sound completely nonsensical to some people. And oh yeah, I think that's what I was talking about earlier. That's what I've come to the conclusion. There's a lot of people in history that have sounded crazy. This David Icke guy has gone over a lot of information in the past, and people were like, this guy's fucking bonkers. He's nuts. He's talking about the Federal Reserve and all this different stuff, and a lot of different things that people just thought he was completely crazy. And the guy's, he's different, yeah, for sure. But some of the stuff that he talked about, that people thought he was crazy, he was 100% right 20 years later. And then people were like, whoa, hey, that guy was right. You know, now he's talking about reptilian aliens coming to Earth, or being managed by the reptilians, stuff like that. And a couple of the experiences I had, like a few years ago, I would have said that's completely nonsensical. There are not fucking aliens walking around here that can shapeshift. You know, there's some out there, I'm sure. There's some in different, you know, whatever. But what I've learned and what I've experienced, some of my personal experiences with that, I've seen a couple things that have changed my mind. And it's also that it makes me think, like, you know what, some of the stuff I'm thinking that I'm talking about, that I'm realizing, I can just keep my mouth shut, not say anything, and then realize that I was right 20 years from now. Or, I mean, I'll probably be dead and gone by then. I don't know. I'm 43. Hopefully I'll make it to 63, but I'm not sure. So I'm just going to go ahead and talk about this stuff and how I feel, what I think happened. And if people want to go ahead and say that I'm crazy, that's up to them, because this is my own personal opinion of what happened. And I'm allowed to have my own personal opinion about anything, because I have the First Amendment. The First Amendment of the Constitution says that I have the freedom of speech. And the last time I checked, we are still the United States of America, and we still observe the Constitution. The Constitution. A lot of people don't see it that way, though. They don't care what's on there. They don't care. The people have the freedom of speech, the right to have freedom of speech. They want to stop that because it's impeding their progress. "38 minutes. Guess I better go. Gotta get some work done. I've been having a real hard time getting, like I said, getting work done because of this whole thing. Been making these videos, been researching a lot on YouTube, and looking at people's Facebook profiles and seeing what they're going through, and you know, doing a lot of thinking, doing a lot of soul searching, a lot of trying to figure out what the hell is going on and how I can help myself and maybe possibly some other people. It's just the word conundrum keeps popping into my mind. You know, being stuck between a rock and a hard place. You're in a conundrum. You can't go one way, you can't go the other way. There's roadblocks, and you got to figure out what to do to get out of that. It's a riddle, but like a puzzle, you know. And there might be no answer. There might be no positive outcome to this because of the mass numbers. But who knows? What else can you do other than try? Keep trying. Do your best. Love yourself. if you have done something wrong, and you're like, okay, well, this is why I'm being targeted, you know, figure out what you have to do to change. But I think most of us just need to figure out how to stop this. Yeah, I say that because it's like anything, you know, any large group that you have, you're going to have different parts of that group. You know, you have the good guys, bad guys, guys that are stuck in the middle, they're clueless, that just do all the work, and um, it's endless. It's always like that in every organization. There's people trying to manipulate the system, no matter what system it is, to try to better it for themselves, work their way up no matter what, gain progress for their own personal benefit. And working on yourself and trying to succeed is that's not a bad thing. But when you are constantly going after people as targets just to walk yourself up the ladder to become more and more financially independent, and you're ruining people's lives because of it, that's not okay, and it's going to stop one way or another.